Thank you ever so much. I'm delighted to be here. I've just flown in from Ottawa. Some of you will know from what was just said that I was just elected. I have the honor to be following Jack Layton in his seat in Toronto Danforth, and I hope to be accomplishing, if I accomplish even half of what Jack Layton accomplished, I'll be happy. But one of the commitments I have, and I'll be bringing to my role as a Member of Parliament, is a commitment to the questions around Sri Lanka and to the health and future of the Tamil Canadian community. It's something I've worked on a lot over the years, as was indicated. I was one of the co-founders of the Sri Lanka Campaign for Peace and Justice. I've had to step down because I'm now an MP, but I bring that commitment forward with me. So what I'd like to say is that we all know it's been 3 years. Is there feedback? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Is it okay? Because it's echoing up here. It has been 3 years since the end of the war, and we're continuing now to see evidence of war crimes pouring in month by month. Yet it's also crucial, it's extremely important to recognize that the war continues by other means. The war continues in other ways. The country as a whole, Sri Lanka, is drifting into more and more repressive rule under the regime of the Rajapaksa brothers. Militarization and Sinhalization of the north, illegal settlement of Tamil lands, disappearances, assassinations, repression of journalists, all of these are regular occurrences now. And the rule of law has been all but decimated in Sri Lanka. Yet there's little hope for the future, even as things are getting worse in general in Sri Lanka, if there's not some kind of an accounting, a justice for what happened during the war. The denial of war crimes and crimes against humanity during the war is something that cannot be allowed to continue. Now, we're fortunate that there are actors like Canadian Tamil Congress, like many groups representing the interests of Tamils around the world, and like Channel 4 in the UK, continuing to remind us of the war crimes and crimes against humanity that did occur during the war. I had the privilege to see the latest Channel 4 film called Sri Lanka's Killing Fields, War Crimes Unpunished. That was the title, very recently on Parliament Hill. Everyone must see this film if you haven't already seen it. It's a stunning revelation and indeed an analysis of the holes in the government's pretensions that no crimes were committed during the war. And when we showed it on Parliament Hill, at the end of the film, it was the loudest silence I think I have ever heard. For several minutes, the room was totally silent. That was how powerful the film was. But I think I should let you know that the ambassador of Sri Lanka to Canada, he tried to prevent us from seeing that film. He sent an intemperate letter full of misinformation to members of Parliament to try to get us, to pressure us, frankly, not to view this film when we were showing it on Parliament Hill. Of course, we went ahead anyway. Now, this is standard conduct from my experience being involved with the Sri Lankan government on this over the last few years. This is standard conduct on the part of the Sri Lankan government. Voicing righteous outrage as if the government is the one that's been wronged, alongside spreading all kinds of untruths. Now, thankfully, more and more governments do not believe a word this government says any longer. Even former allies in the global south are reluctant to support Sri Lanka in the UN, as witnessed by the UN Human Rights Council recent resolution calling on Sri Lanka to investigate and then prosecute war crimes and crimes against humanity. Now, that's a resolution that, and here I have to give credit where credit is due, a resolution where the Government of Canada did play an important role in pushing and advocating for it. The government of Sri Lanka, I'll be ending here, the government of Sri Lanka has to be held accountable, as do the individuals within that government, military commanders, the defense minister, and the president in particular. They have to be held accountable for the crimes they committed, and that also has to hold true. Justice has to be even-handed for those who acted in the name of the LTTE to commit crimes that were not permitted, obviously, under international law. Now, while the Lessons Learned and Reconciliation Commission in Sri Lanka that many of you know about did make some important recommendations, it pretty much whitewashed the war crimes issue in its report. And I think there is no choice but for there to be a truly independent international inquiry to investigate and document the war crimes, as called for by the UN panel of experts that was set up by the United Nations Secretary General. In general, in Sri Lanka, we need to give voice to the voiceless to ensure that human rights, the rule of law, and democracy are not abandoned, which is a distinct prospect as things get worse in Sri Lanka. And Canada must become, as part of that imperative, must become a leader in making the independent international inquiry an actual a reality, something that actually happens. And we, everyone here, should be ready to commend and support the government for any proactive efforts that the government makes, including its efforts not to let the next Commonwealth Leaders Conference become a platform for the government of Sri Lanka in its campaign to cleanse its image and to continue its impunity without any consequences. May true peace and real justice be part of Sri Lanka's future. Thank you so much.